Frank McCann, thanks for coming in this morning, Frank.
Thanks for having me.
Good game this morning.
I enjoy it every time.
The all-in. It wasn't walking this morning, of course. We
No.
just played normal football. It's interesting that we've got to that stage now, guys, that could only walk before, and now we've got actual football taking place, which is pretty much the same guys. But the walking football, what did you think when you first heard that term, Frank?
Well, I heard it on the TV and I thought it was the most ridiculous thing in the world,
Mm-hmm.
that you can walk and play football. But while I was on holiday, a wee short break down to Norfolk,
Uh-huh.
my Uncle Dennis phoned me, just to let you know that I'm back playing football. And I said, Dennis, you're 78. What are you talking about? And he said, well, I'm playing walking football down at Tollcross. So I went, we were back on the Wednesday night.
Mm-hmm.
Thursday morning I go to Tollcross and I fell in love with it immediately.
Yeah. I've got a saying that if you get them to play for 5 or 10 minutes, that's it.
Yeah.
Because they realise it's just football.
Yeah, it's just football, yeah. But it's that touching the ball.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And playing a pass that is a good pass. Or
Right.
having a shot.
Well, I've never tried that yet.
Or having a shot that's a good, you know what I mean? Being able just to do the things that you
So you're talking a different game from me now, the game I play. Passing. We're going to do an episode about the basics, so maybe you could help us out with that in the
Right.
future. Passing and shooting and all these technical terms.
Well, that's what happens in other than walking football, I guess.
So it's not ridiculous. Is that what you're
It's
saying now?
anything, well, there are extremes of it. If people insist that it has to be slow walking,
Mm-hmm.
then I find that really boring.
Yeah.
But as long as you're allowed to move a bit,
Yes.
I think that's quite a nice compromise.
I reckon, I don't think we've really admitted this yet, the hierarchy of Glasgow Club or whatever, but I think there's 3 levels now that we've evolved to,
Mm-hmm.
because that was real football we were playing this morning. And
Yeah.
that's people that started off playing walking football. But the whole idea is for people to get fitter, and that's what's happening. So I reckon we've got that slow intensity, low intensity that you're talking about, which isn't for you and I really.
No.
It's for people that wouldn't normally get out to get a wee game of football. And then we've got walking football, which is okay, that's what you're talking about. And then we've got the competitive higher intensity, which is getting closer to football and needs refereed now to keep it within the boundaries of walking football. So something for everybody there.
Yeah.
Is your uncle still playing?
No, he's unfortunately not. No, his knees are gubbed.
Right.
But that was, I mean, I've been playing now for 4 or 5 years, so he's in his early 80s now.
Right, yes.
And it's coincided, his knees are gubbed and he's struggling a wee bit. But he's still here and he's still watching and he's still listening and I still talk to him about it.
Right.
And some of the boys that he played with are still in touch with him,
Okay.
which is a big bonus.
That's nice, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Because that's the other side of the game that we talk about later on is that
Yeah.
social side. It's very
Well,
important.
That was one of the things at Tollcross. That was one of the things I absolutely loved because we had a boy there who had early onset dementia.
Mm-hmm.
He'd obviously played, but he was maybe only late 40s, early 50s.
Right. Do you remember his name?
I can't remember what his name was.
Because we had a lad, Danny, that used to come at
No,
Better
it's not
Houston,
Danny.
and he was 52,
Yeah.
and he had early onset, and what a shot he had on him. He played for Shelton Juniors back in the day,
Right.
so he'd been a player, and you could see that,
Yeah.
but he couldn't remember what way he was shooting half the
Yeah,
time.
so did
Frank.
this
So
guy was the
it's
same bit.
disorientated.
But it was that going up the stairs for the coffee after it.
Yeah.
And him being there, and at that point, before we started evolving, just having blethers because we were pals, at that point they were putting out photographs and putting
Yes.
videos on.
Yes.
Scotland against England 1960, you know, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And people are going, I was at that game. Oh, so was I. Well, we good. And obviously that initiated a lot of conversation, which
Yeah.
was great.
Well, we do that here on a Monday now. On
Yeah.
a Monday at 2 o'clock, we have Sporting Memories Scotland come in.
Yeah.
And it's amazing. And he passes the ball round. And this week he said, Jim Purvis ran it, and he said, who's your favourite goalkeeper? And that was an hour of us all talking about our favourite goalkeepers.
And
Who's your
who's
favourite goalkeeper? Mine was Alan Ruff. And I met him last Monday at the Walking Football Tour.
Right. My favourite goalkeeper, I think, was Andy Gorham.
Right, yeah, that figures.
Aye.
I mentioned Gorham during the course of it because I was at Firhill one night watching the Jags playing Rangers, and it was 1-0 in the last minute for Rangers, and Gorham had done nothing all night. I was behind his goal with my son, and he had done nothing. It was freezing cold, winter's night, and in the last minute, Thistle got a chance, a header, and I swear to God, it was a Gordon Banks moment. You know, it was going in the bottom corner,
Yeah.
and Gorham tipped it round the post. broke our hearts. And he'd done nothing all night, and that's the true test of a goalkeeper.
I think that's what old firm goalkeepers have to be. They have to be able to. They have to be able to come up with something.
Yeah.
Once in a game.
Yep.
Possibly twice.
So where are you from, Frank? What area?
I'm from Bridgeton originally.
Glasgow boy.
Bridgeton, and then we moved up to a place called Cranhill.
Mm-hmm. Moved up in the
part
world.
of Greater Easterhouse. And I loved it up there. It was brilliant. It was an entirely different thing.
Real community up there.
Yeah, plus there's all the schools had football pitches.
Right, yes.
Do you know what I mean? It was coming that time when I was about, I think I was 8 or 9. It was coming that time when I was going to played for the BB, I played for the school, and it was just brilliant. And I still keep in touch with all the boys.
Right.
We get together once a year.
Excellent.
Between Christmas and New Year generally, although that's changed with the pandemic.
Yeah.
And we go out and there's maybe 15 or 16 of us.
Right.
All boys for Cranhill, all go back out again.
Brilliant.
That's and now we've started meeting up because we're all retired now. We meet maybe every 6 weeks.
You don't get them into walking football?
Well, Robert Forrest plays.
Right.
I think he's the only one that's playing at the moment because the rest of them are a bit maybe one of the football players in the first place.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, I've got a few in.
Excellent.
A few.
Excellent. What did you do for a living, Frank?
Well, I've been a few things. I was a teacher originally, a primary school teacher. Then I was in engineering. Worked in not in the rigs here because it's too cold. I did work in the Middle East and Norway, places like that. Went about a wee bit, and it was quite nice. And then I got fed up with it, and I went back to teaching.
So why could you not hold down a job? What was the problem?
Nobody liked me, so that's why I can't get a game in your team. No, it was great. I loved it. I loved the job, but I came back.
Travelling.
I went back into primary school teaching, and then I requalified as a PE teacher.
Right. And has football permeated all that then? Always been there?
Every minute of my life.
Yeah, well the PE teacher especially.
What,
did you run the school teams as well then?
No, funnily enough, the only thing we didn't do in when I was a PE teacher at primary school was football.
Right.
Because they've got loads of places they can go.
Yes.
We concentrated on other sports, sort of a minor sports. And it was great. I loved it. It was fantastic. Getting into work with a tracksuit on and throwing a wee bag of balls and saying, "Enjoy yourself." And the ways are, just kick that limit. Just comes to you, kick it. It's no yours. You know what I mean? All that
Have you
stuff.
seen some of the stuff Glasgow Club do? Because they talk now about cradle to grave sort of thing, nappy to nappy. I prefer to call it. That sounds better.
I don't like thinking about that. Since I'm in the wrong end of it.
The nappy end. The other nappy, the big nappy end.
Yes.
Because I took my granddaughter to a session at Scotstoun, again before lockdown, and she just sat in the goals with her wee pal and blethered the whole time. But there's parents there taking it really serious. You're talking kids of 3 and 4, and there's parents there shouting them on, you know. And I've seen that all through football as a referee, that it's the parents that are the problem rather than the kids.
They're always the parents.
Yeah. The only problem that's the only problem we never get seemingly at walking football. The parents are never that big a problem.
Mine are not coming. I'm afraid.
Me too.
Sad to say.
Me too. So how do you see us developing the walking football? Because you're part of the competitive walking football.
As you said, it is breaking into strands. The way I see it is that we move a wee bit. There's a wee bit more freedom of movement, but no running.
Right.
Because it's very difficult to generate power.
Yes.
From a walk. And the pitches are quite big.
Yeah.
And when we're playing the competitive games, or even like this morning, the pitch is quite big. And to get the ball moving when you're walking, it's quite difficult for people to move around about the pitch.
Yes.
So I see it as we can start moving a wee bit, maybe towards jogging, to allow people to get from one position to another, to open the game up a wee bit. And the guy, as you say, the guys are getting fitter and fitter. So I mean, when I started, it was like I found it really quite difficult, especially about my core.
Yes.
Because that slowness and turning, and I found as well, and I found with the boys that play
pulls and strains,
calf muscles particularly, a lot of calf injuries, not just for our team but for all the teams.
Yeah.
And I've spoken to physios about it. that need to move a wee bit
Mm-hmm.
is easier on your legs.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
it's not actually helping our physicality if that's always going to be the same.
The static part of
Ah.
it. Yeah.
Yeah, and turning as well. You know what I mean? Turning. I mean, I don't know. Chris, I was there when Chris pulled his calf. I pulled my calf. It's sore. Do you know what I mean? It's a sore thing.
Yeah.
And it's a long lasting injury.
Chris's injuries only take effect when he's tracking back though, because he's always holding his leg when he's trying to get
This
back.
was a younger Chris.
When he's heading forward, when you pass the ball to him, he runs like clappers. He's away, he's off.
He tried to do a turn.
But we shouldn't talk about him behind his back.
No.
I see it on his face anyway.
Yeah.
So you're still involved in amateur football as well?
Well, when I stopped, I played amateur football.
Mm-hmm.
Had a wee shot at all sorts, but I played amateur football for PO Phones and Kings Park Rangers, and then I had illness around about the age of 30,
Okay.
and I had to stop. So I started taking the team for 2 years or so.
Okay.
22 years later, then I went back again, and I was back. I've been back the last 3 months. I've taken the team 4 or 5 times because we've been there
To get them
a
through
really short-
a
to get them
tricky
through
period.
a bad period.
There's a lot of teams struggling to get players now because over the COVID thing, over the lockdown, it seems a lot of guys have found other things to do on a Saturday morning, a Saturday
Yeah.
afternoon,
Yeah.
and a lot of teams, because I'm involved with I'm now the treasurer of the Colleges League,
Yeah.
I've been roped in, and there's a lot of teams struggling to get players along to training and things because they've lost the habit.
Yeah.
And with it, this is the winter months just starting really as far as football's concerned. This is when it gets hard
Yeah.
to get them along.
So I went into the committee side of it as well. At the Scottish Amateur Football League, where I'm the past president,
Right.
and the match secretary. I've done that a couple of times.
It's great fun.
No, it's not
Over
great
the
fun.
winter months.
It's not great fun at all. No. Well, it's not just that. It's not just the referees. You know what I mean, Simon? I know you're an ex-referee, but the referees kill you. You know what I mean? No, I can't go there. And we, of course, in the Scottish Amateur had Oban and Campbelltown and Tarbert and Arica and Lochgilphead.
Of course.
And some of the referees would call off, and if they call off on a Tuesday, we would try to get a referee to go there.
You end up with a local ref.
You end up
all
with
the
a
time.
ref, and then
Jimmy Taylor or something.
yeah, the clubs moan at you.
Yes.
We've had him before. And,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? So it's a difficult
It's a
thing.
no-win situation, always, isn't it?
Well,
always.
Also, the committee members tend to be a wee bit older now, so the young guys are not coming through. So it's going to be. I guess that as walking football is becoming bigger and bigger, amateur football is diminishing.
Yes. Yes.
At a great.
Price of the parks.
Well, there's
so much against us.
Yeah. Everything.
And even trying to get a training facility, because what they do now is they split the park. It's rented out block bookings for youngsters.
Yeah.
Good luck to them for training for kids. And it's very difficult to get a game midweek or get a training facility midweek.
Also, that obviously impacts on the match secretary at the end of the season.
Yes.
Trying to give out Wednesday night, Monday night fixtures because there aren't any.
Yeah.
Because these people, but we at training, I found out this yesterday. Our club pays 60 or 80 quid for a training session for hiring a third of a pitch for 2 hours.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean? And then they've got to pay. We play in Astro most of the time, and that's nearly £100 again.
Yeah.
So for an amateur club to, you know what I mean? So every fortnight you're paying something like 220 quid.
And that's before you wash the strips and transport and all that.
Before you get the strips for anything. So you depend on somebody supporting the team, or the players, or the friends.
It used to be a couple of quid a week. You can't do it like that anymore.
No,
it's an expensive hobby now.
Yeah, it's still brilliant though.
Yeah.
It's still brilliant. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And so the referees, whether you like it or not, they're always right.
They do a job.
Uh-huh.
That's as good as I'm getting. That's as good as I get.
Well, without them, it's tricky.
Well, without them, you don't get a game.
Yeah.
And
that's the only
that's
reason
the
you
big
tolerate
problem.
them at all.
Yeah.
I'm actually a referee supervisor for the Glasgow Colleges League this season.
With my old pal Donny.
Yes.
Yeah, good luck to you, mate.
I know.
Sorry, Donny.
But we always take the ref side anyway.
Yeah, of course we do. So do we. We have to.
Yep. So you think the future's bright for walking football?
I think walking football is fantastic. I've got to tell you, I'm watching those guys this morning, and you're looking at an age range from 50 to 80.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean? And they're all playing at whatever level they're playing. It doesn't make
Yeah.
any difference.
Yeah.
And nobody cares about the score or anything like that. Do you know what I mean?
Well, apart from
Apart
you,
apart from Big Jim. Apart from Big Jim.
there's always one or two.
There's always one or two.
And I think we're going from strength to strength just now, because everybody that's out there knows people that are talking about us now. It's the fastest growing sport in Europe, apparently.
Yeah. Well,
It's no
that's the thing as
surprise.
well. I mean, I sometimes go to Spain, used to go to Spain until the pandemic started, and I play out there as well.
Right.
And it's fantastic. It's entirely different because it's quite warm. But the guys out there are exactly the same as here. Do you know what I mean? It's getting bigger and bigger. The photographer, the cameraman,
Yeah.
Chris, he's played out there as well. It's fantastic. You know, it's
Is he any better out there? That's a trick question.
No.
Frank, it's been a pleasure. Thanks for coming in. Thank you.
Thanks for asking me.